Welcome to week 5 of our Sew Steady gift guide, and this week is all about precision, and we're featuring one of our most versatile tools in our quilting and sewing lineup. Our universal circles and straights tool and mat makes it so easy to sew accurate circles, arcs, and seams with total confidence. With markings for circles up to 30 inches, plus our essential seam guides of 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, and 5/8 inch on both sides of the needle, you're getting accuracy for every project. From holiday projects to quilts to sewing any kind of garments. This is going to be an essential tool for any new quilters or sewers alike that are needing that seam allowance support. This tool is designed to attach securely to the mat, giving you a smooth, controlled movement. And this week only, when you purchase the Circles and Straights tool, you'll also get our free Scant spacing gauge, the perfect companion to ensure flawless spacing and beautiful aligned designs. This handy tool has a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 3/8 inch spacing, along with the Scant 1/4 inch guide, giving you that ideal seam allowance for your quilting. Plus, we're giving away one full tool set to one lucky winner. To enter to win, simply like, comment, and share, and sign up. Every interaction gives you an entry, and if you shop this week's deal, then you'll also get bonus entries for more chances to win our grand prize, which is going to be our Sew Steady Wish holiday table package and one of our Elevate quilt boxes. Ready to elevate your creativity even further? Take our Sewing in Circles Straights class, which is on our Sew Steady University. It's a free class with the purchase of this tool, and you're going to be able to get even further in your creativity. So please don't miss out on this chance. Take advantage of our deal, and we've got one link left in our Sew Steady gift guide.
Ooh, I'm talking but not being heard.
That's correct.
This is Stacy with Sew Steady. We've got Donelle McAdams here. We're doing our Odd Monday. She's got an awesome Christmas stocking project with us, or Christmas project, not stocking.
Yep.
And we're going to let Donelle take it away. But I was so excited because she is choosing to highlight our product of the week. So this week, we're going to be doing our Circles and Straights tool as the product of the week, and that means you get a bonus gift with every purchase, and that is our Scant 1/4 inch seam guide and gauge. And so Donelle's going to show that off a little bit and then do a really fun project with everyone. So Donelle, I'm going to get out of your way and let you take it away.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. Hopefully, you can hear me. I think I'm on and all that good stuff. Stacy was talking about that Scant 1/4 inch spacing gauge. And if you got the Elevate box, you got it during our 3rd quarter. And this is what it looks like. And the whole idea of the Scant is right here is where your needle would be. And then this is a Scant 1/4 inch. So if I were to take this to, I guess I need to come down here and see if I can show you that. If I take this to my measuring down there and I put it on the 12, you can see that there is just enough space extra before that 1/4 inch to make that a Scant 1/4 inch. So if I was using that here, I could actually take that needle and put it in that little groove, and then I would know where that Scant 1/4 was. So I would probably do that in a reverse order here. I would take this over to the edge and set my foot down, and then I could move my needle left or right. In this case, it needs to go to the right. And I could see, I know it's not there yet. That looks like that's pretty darn close. And so that way, when I guide on the edge, here's my needle, and it's lined up with this particular little guide right there. And that way I have got, with my regular foot, a scant 1/4 inch. So you'll notice here that we do have our 1/4 inch that we can use for our ruler work. And we also have our 1/2 inch, and we have 1 inch and 3/4 inch. So you got it all right here on this one little tool. And I will tell you, it's going to come with that little piece in there, and that might not have popped out. So if it hasn't popped out, you can go ahead and just push that through so that it will pop out. Mine has, but guess what? That's why I couldn't get that down through there. This piece hasn't popped out yet. So what I would say for you for that, it's going to be, my screwdriver is still a little bit too big. I'm going to push that, and I think you can see it coming out, that little tiny slant there. That's not supposed to be in there. And now when I do this, my needle will be able to go right down in through that spot. So it's right down in that. So make sure you take out that piece. And if this isn't popped out and you want to put it on a notions necklace, pop that out too. So that is, I'm going to lay that over here because I'll probably need that here in a little bit, because I am going to do some ruler work. I'm going to do a little bit of everything tonight, you guys. But yet, I think it's going to be pretty fast and easy. So the first thing that I'm going to tell you is we are going to do some what I call reverse TempLee. But it's going to be done in a very, 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 very easy way. So I have got a couple of my templates that I want to use. And I'm going to be using the Bloom template tonight. And I'm also going to be using the pearls, the 1-inch pearls. And the two that I have, well, I actually have 3 in front of me, but the small one I'm not going to use. I've got an 8.5 and a 10.5. So when I'm working with what I'm going to do tonight, I have to be able to calculate off of that so that I will get the right size spacing. So I'm going to do a 6.5 inch, maybe a 7 inch. Let's see. I've got an 8.5, a 5.5, and a 10.5. I think my circle in the center, the Bloom template is 5.5. Yeah, so I'm going to do a 6-inch circle in the center. So let's get this back to straight stitch in the middle, because that's what I need. And the other thing, you guys, I'm doing is I have got metallic thread on here tonight. So here's my tool. I've already put my mat on. I've lined it up centered this way. It has to be, you guys, has to be centered this way and this way. And so I've taken the little pieces off. And I'm going to go ahead and do a 6.5 inch circle. So I'm going to be putting that so that that mark right there is between 6 and 7. So I can do a 6.5 inch circle. Now, it seems like it's going to stay there. So what I've already done is I've marked the center. I'm using a 25-inch square of batting, which I'm using the fusible fleece, and of my topper here. So this is going to be my background that I'm building on. So I'm going to put that right in the center there. Make sure everything is nice and flat. Now, when I do this, this is the fusible side. It's going to the bottom. I don't want it fusing to this, because sometimes that fusible can do some, let's just say, crazy things. I don't know what else to call it. And so I've got my center marked there. And because of what I know I'm doing, I've got my center marked on this. So I'm going to pull this up. And usually I put a fusible on the back of this, but I'm not doing that this time because of what I'm doing. I really don't need it. So I've got my center there. I'm going to lay that on top, smooth everything out. And I'm going to take my little piece and put that back on. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and lower that foot, and I'm going to stitch a circle that's 6.5 inches. Now in my bobbin, I did not put the metallic thread. I just have a gold color that's very close to the color of my metallic thread. And I've been sewing these circles for so long, I just forget to tell you, you kind of have to just pat it out and smooth it out. You'll see that it's coming right back to where it started, which is right there. I'm going to overlap that, and then I'm just going to cut that thread because it was overlapped. Now, I'm not cutting anymore just yet, okay? I'm going to be moving this. So everything is still on here, and I'm going to check those 2 templates that I talked about and see. So if I were to put this right here, that's going to do my circles right there, which is a little bit closer than what I wanted. But that's okay. I will improvise. So I'm going to now do another circle. Let's see here. I'm going to do it so it's... I had someone tell me they like to see me think these things out while I'm doing this. So that's why I'm doing it, you guys. It's the easiest way to say it. So I'm going to do another circle inside of this circle. So I'm going to move this. It was at 6.5, and I'm going to move it to 5.5. Actually, I want it 6. I know that was kind of hard for you to see, but that's what we got there. So we're going to do this at 6. So we've got it circle inside a circle. And that's what I like about that little plate. It holds everything together so that when I move, everything moves together. I don't have to unpiece one piece and then try to line things back up and all of that. So we're right back to where we started. I'm going to overlap just a little bit, and I'm going to cut that thread. Now, I'm going to be cutting out this center piece right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So I just need to tear this top layer so I can see my inside layer. And I have found kind of my favorite scissors. They look like this, and I don't even know for sure what they're called, but they're great for doing this cutout. So remember what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting this and then stitching up close. And some of you are going, well, that's why I thought you would have put fusible on the back. Well, because of the way I'm doing it tonight, I really did not need that fusible. And you'll see why. So I just pulled that far enough that I pulled that off. So don't panic, you guys. It's not in the right place right now. Got the idea for this as I was traveling, and it's always interesting when you're traveling and something hits you. It's like, where's my notebook? I got to write something down. And of course, I couldn't find anything to write it down on. All right. So I'm just going to take this piece off and get it out of there. And I'm going to put that back on 6. Hopefully I can get it back where it was. I got to move this out of the way. I'm not sure you guys could see all that anyway. So there it is back on 6. Let's get you back here where you can see. And remember, I have got a decorative thread in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be stitching on both sides of that circle. And I want to make sure I've got it all lined up good. I'll stitch on this one side. I have to cut before I can stitch on the other side. Looks like we're good here. So I'm going to just go ahead and put my, well, first I got to select my decorative stitch. And I had it selected earlier, so hopefully I can remember what it was. And the way I'm going to do this, I am going to mirror image it. So I'm going to change that. And all right, so I'm going to be stitching right on that line. I'm going to go ahead and put my needle down. And it's going to come into the center. And I tried to pick a stitch that I could do rather quickly that would secure the edge but not be super heavy, because I wanted to do this as we work, not just like start and stop and jump around. So you can see it coming out the back there. So what I'm doing with this is I've got 2 rows there. So I'm going to have a strand of the fabric color. And again, this is kind of a reverse TempLee, because even though I'm cutting out the top layer, it's not like I exposed that little strand of fabric. I'm actually having that strand get stitched on top of, and I think you'll figure that out as you think about what I just said. So my circle, I did one at 6 inches if you're wanting to write it down, and one at 7.5. And remember, the reason that's not 1.5 inches is obviously because of the fact that you got 2 sides to consider when you're doing that. And when you're doing a metallic thread, you want to make sure that you get a metallic thread that is happy with doing decorative stitches. I'm using a Robertson Anton tonight. I do have one that is from Superior that works real, just as I said that. Never mind that. Everything is cool. It just got caught. So let's see if it'll work its way out. No. So what I'm going to have to do, and if this happened to you, is what you'd be doing, I'm just going to cut my thread and see what happened, because it sounds like it's down underneath. Can't believe just as I said that, it happened. Okay. So I'm going to pull this up. I can see that that's what it was. See how my bobbin is turned up kind of on one side. So yes, it happens to everyone. Put that back in. It's probably going to want me to turn my machine off. Let me see here. Yep. So I'm doing what they call the kamikaze approach. I just totally unthreaded and rethreaded, making sure it's seated in that take-up lever. All righty. Never fear, we'll get there. Now, when you reposition this, like I'm doing right now, not repositioning, but it came off, so I had to reposition. I then take an extra measure to guide right where I want, because you can see there's just a little bit of, I'm going to say wiggle room, but yet it's more than that. It's giving you an opportunity to guide it while it's still rotating. So where's my stitch? There it is. Don't forget to mirror image it. And I'm going to see it starts right there. So I'm going to put my needle down there. So it overlapped just a little bit. I doubt that you're going to be able to tell it. And again, I'm just guiding so that the cut edge there is going right in the middle of my foot. So everybody's from all over. I haven't even checked to see who all's with us tonight. We've got a pretty good sized group. We had about 7 inches of snow on Saturday, and we're getting about 4 inches more right now. Now, some of that 7 inches is gone because it warmed up enough, believe it or not, during the night to melt some of that. But I can tell you as a former quilt shop owner, I always loved it when it got like this in the beginning of December because it puts everybody in the mood for Christmas. And people start thinking more about getting their trees decorated and all of that good stuff. So we're coming up to where I started. So as soon as this meets, I'm going to press my finishing button to let it finish that design. And you'll see that it's just slowly knotting off. And now I can go ahead and touch my cutter. Now I don't have a back on this because when I get completely done, that's when I'll need my backing. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out. I've still got that hole there. So if and when I put it back on, it will, I shouldn't say if and when, I will be putting it back on because we've got to do another row of decorative stitches. But right now, we are going to switch out to the other mat. I'm going to leave this one upside down over here so it will be ready to use. And get my mat for my ruler work. I finally had to get a new mat because my mat was acting up on this side. It just kept snagging onto my fabric. And I got tired of trying to think for it. So a new mat it is. And if I line this up perfect, I'll be able to use it without even putting the other mat back on, probably. All right, so I need my screwdriver to change my foot. Get my ruler work foot. This is one of those projects you kind of have to think along with it or you'll get something cut off that you don't want cut off. So now I'm going to go to ruler work. And this time, for my pin in the middle, I will need a tack. So I'm going to get my tack here and find my tape. Most of you know that I tape it on when I'm doing it with ruler work. And I'm using the RNK embroidery tape. I should say embroidery perfection tape. And I'm going to take that and tape it right in that center. So I've got that right in the middle there. Actually, I don't need this first. I need my template. And of course, I could not find my bloom template. So out to the warehouse I go and pull out another one. Which that's okay because this one's one of the new ones that has the little needle path rather than the gate. Let's see which is the right side. That is. So I want to put my tape on the wrong side. And I just need about 4 pieces on this one. One of my favorite templates. You can do so much with it. All right. So what we're going to do first is get that thread through that foot. What I was doing there was seeing if I can do, because sometimes the templates have angles on them, and I would not have had to mark this. But that particular one doesn't. So we're going to mark it, and I have sprayed that cream colored fabric with starch, spray starch. I happen to use Starch Savvy. I'm right in that center, and I really only need little marks out here. And I know some of you are going to say, I don't think you marked that, Donelle. Well, there's little marks there. This one's down here. That one's right there. And this one's right here. So I can see all of those. So I'm going to come right in there to the center and put that foot down and get that spot right there so that I can bring up my bobbin thread. Now, I don't have to do anything with this, like tie it or anything, because of the fact there'll be so many stitches come back over it. But I still don't want it down underneath there. And those of you that have the new M8, I'm a bit jealous because you have that thumb wheel here that rolls that needle right down. And it is just awesome. I've been teaching on that as I travel. I'm going to rotate this, line it up. Keep that out of the way. It's going to be perfect because it just comes right out to that edge. Every time I come back to the middle, I'm looking to see if I am right back in the middle. And if you aren't, you can just raise your needle and easily move because you're probably only like one stitch off. I just love the design this makes in the middle as it comes around. So maybe something that you might have learned new is the fact that you don't have to make your lines all the way out there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dance around in the center there just a little bit. It'll make it pretty there with that metallic anyway. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut my thread. So look at that pretty design. Hopefully you can see that there that we've made. It's coming out and just touching that area. So I'm finished with that. And I'm going to put this piece of tape with my thumbtack right there. And I'm going to grab my chalk because the next design I'm doing I will be using, and I just remembered that's not a, there's one. Okay. I will need, let's see. Nope, I don't need lines yet. I am going to be using my Circles on Quilts templates. That's these templates. And the thing that I find is easiest is if we just use the template we're going to be using and see what size works. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to get this and put that hole right on top of the hole. And you can see here's where my design's going to be. And I want my bar then, it's going to be there. So I want it at 6. Although that doesn't sound right. Let me see what I got here. I want it out farther than that. So let's see. We're going to do 10. Yes, we are, Miss Ruthie. But we can't have you in the middle of it. No, we can't. Make sure I'm doing this right. We'll do the other circle at 8. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another circle like this, only I'm using my templates this time. And if you've never used these templates, I use them from the open end to the closed end because I fell off of my template way too many times. So I'm just turning this for convenience sake. I'm pushing my foot up against the inside. Now, could I have done this with the other tool? Absolutely. But I have my machine all set up for ruler work, and I have this tool, so I might as well use it. So I'm going to overlap there, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut my thread. And this is my starting thread here. Did it on 8. So I'm cutting in between here and okay. I'm going to take that seam ripper get a little piece of this. This is why I have not done any stitching on that side, because this is coming out. I wish you guys could see little Miss Ruthie. She's sitting here like a little person with her bottom on my sew study table and her feet on the table. You're trying to get on camera tonight, aren't you, Miss Ruthie? Okay. Now we got the other side, and I think it's easiest to cut that going this way. So to me, I just think this is so pretty, leaving that little bit of fabric there. This one is just a little bit more tedious. I don't know why, but it is. All right. So now I could switch out and go back and do that decorative stitch. I'm not going to. I'm going to do more of this. And I still haven't figured out exactly, because this is that ring of pearls. And it's going to stitch right in this area here. So I just don't think I want the pearls on top of this, but maybe I do. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do first is see which one of these is the top. So it looks like it would be a 10. So let's see here. No, I just had it. That was an 8. So I want 10.5. All right, that's going to work just perfect. Okay, so I want a 10.5, and so that I don't have a complete fallout over here, I got to get around here. I'll give you a little hint. If you want this to maybe have a little bit more depth, you could use 2 layers of the fleece. When this is finished, it can either finish up round, or it can be made into a square. Hopefully it'll get this out of its system before I start my design. Oh, the metallic thread wants to hang on to the needle there. Okay, so where did it run out? Right there. So we're going to put that back down and get this underneath there. Put that needle down. Now what I'm thinking right now as I'm doing this is, am I going to want a bigger circle? And I think I am. So I'm going to show you something that some of you may not even know exists. Where's my start? Have I already made it? Oh, right there. Okay. So I'm going to pull this out. So now we will be cutting outside of that and leaving that wide ring right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my what are called expansion templates. And these will make up to an 18-inch circle. And there are 4 of them. You will notice they don't have anything down here. It's just out on the outer side, outer edge. So I'm going to go and do one at 18. Get my table cleaned off here so I can do that. And that will be my outermost. And then we'll see how wide we want to make that. I could have turned this template over and come towards me so I wouldn't have fallen out of the template. And like I said, you can leave this as a square, which I think is probably what I'm going to be doing. Although I could make it as a circle. Not happy with you. It may have been a better option to use a Metallica needle for this part. I thought it would do fine with the top stitch needle. Usually does. Maybe it's because I'm going backwards. Oh well, I'm going to try it the other way coming around. So I need to go right here where it stopped. Put that needle and foot down. All the while, I'm still smoothing this out because I don't want to have any extra fabric. Whoa. But this is the expansion. So I don't know, Stacy, they're talking about I'm not on full screen. I don't know. Oh, don't you do this. Thank goodness we're almost finished here with this part, since it's not liking it. But I am going to persevere through it, whether it likes it or not. Because I'm going to finish with metallic thread. Little hint, put that through and then just pull your fabric to the side. So I'm going to put that needle down. And this time I'm going to take a peek at what's going on with my thread back here. I think it's fine. Big circles. Almost there, guys. And then one more circle. So here's where we're coming to, right here. Overlap. cut my thread. And then I'm going to do one more circle that's narrower. And I'm going to do it at 16. So let me show you what I'm going to do to make that a little bit more manageable, because I've got this huge space. I'm just going to flip this little guy over, and I'm going to go this way this time, and I will be stitching. Actually, I'm doing it at 17. There's, 16. Now you just have to make sure that when we go to cut this, that we're cutting what we intend to. Miss Ruthie, you got to get back. Honey. About a quarter of a turn here and we're there. All right. So I'll take that off of the center. So this is going to get cut out here and then all the way around. So I'm going to do the all the way around first. So I'm clear out here. This was an 18-inch circle, which, yes, it could have been done with the Circles and Straights tool. Getting this extra off of here will give us more perspective as to what we're doing. And you could use a bunch of different decorative stitches. I'm probably going to stick with the same one, just using it inside and outside by using the mirror image button. You could even program in Merry Christmas and stitch that all the way around, which might not be a bad idea. You could do that out on the plane so that they could actually see that. And that would be done when we put back on the Circles and Straights. All of our decorative stitching will be. I've got a little bit more ruler work to do first. And that's what I think is fun about combining ruler work, your decorative stitches, the Circles and Straights tool. So there's that gone. And then we're leaving this and getting rid of this. I got so many ideas floating in my head here as to what we're going to do with this, but it takes just a second to cut this out. But if you're putting things on your wish list for Christmas from Sew Steady, and you don't have those expansion for the big circle like this, that may be something to consider. When I had the store and it was Christmas, we always did the 12 days of Christmas, which is like what is going on at Sew Steady right now. And I would have family members, usually a spouse, come in and say, "What's my wife want for Christmas?" So I learned to make sure I had wish list for everybody, because when someone's asking, I want to be able to tell them, here's what they want. So this is the last ring that I need to cut. And we're going to put a design on this one, and it's going to be the pearls. All right. So let me take a quick peek here and see if I've got any questions. All right. So let's get our spot here again and get it right in the middle. And I'm going to get my template. And I need to make some marks here for lining up. So I'm going to line up off of my original design. And we need 16 lines. Now I'm just going to make little tiny lines here. Actually, I think I want them inside, because that's really all I need is a small little line. I should have got my template that has all 16 on it. Oh, got in too far. There. All right. So now I just need to rotate that. Make sure I've got it lined up, because this one is real important to make sure you got your lines where they're supposed to be. So I'm just putting those there. And then I'm going to explain my template, because it's really easy once you understand the template. So on this template, you would follow these two lines on the outside down to where they come together. And that's the hole we're going to use. The blue arrow is the middle line, and it is always on one of these, we're going to call them spots, spokes, reference lines, whatever you want to call it. It's always on one of those. The green arrow is where I start, and the pink arrow is where I stop. So I'm going to put my needle down and in line with that black arrow there. The blue is on a line. And so I'm going to start here and come around and stop right there. I move my blue arrow to the next line. My green is now lined up. Stop at the pink. Move to the next line. Stop at the pink. Move the blue arrow to the next line. And that's how easy it is to use our strand of pearls and ultimately our strand of diamonds. And we've got hearts also. But once you understand what you're lining up, it makes it very easy to do this design. Got a thread I got to get cut off here. I don't want it to get caught in. Now, if you had the Elevate box for the fall, you have a very small, I think it's maybe I know it's a 1/2-inch circle, but I think it maybe is a 5.5. And it does the same thing as this design. It's just a whole lot smaller. But once you mark your templates with those arrows or something similar, it makes it so easy to do the design and end up where you intend to end up. We're almost there, believe it or not. This is the last. Oh, I'm back to where I was. I've already finished. So I'm just going to go back a few stitches so that I seal that deal there. And then depending what all else you want to do, there's tons of things, but I'm going to do some decorative stitching on this line and that line. And I need to put that back on with my tool. And let's see, I'm going to, I'll put it here so I can show you. I'm going to measure out to what is like right here, whatever that is, that measurement there is. And it looks like my green ruler is still packed. So I'll just do it this way. I'll use my table. Looks like it's 6.5. So that would be 13 inches. So I'm going to put this at 6.5 right on this. Because it's the same type of mat. It's just that I've got to do my math. And because that was pulling off and I don't want to take that chance, I am going to tape that on there. So I need to actually refresh my dots, but they would have to dry. So you can see what I'm doing here. So that it doesn't come off. And we'll put that right back in that center spot. And what I'm looking for is a place that doesn't have a thread in it, because I don't want to bust my metallic thread. There we go. And so before I go, I'm going to check this, because I need to change my foot. And I'm doing this here mainly because I want you to consider some stitches that you may not have considered before. I'm just checking to see if I'm right in the middle, and I am. And the one I'm going to do right now is simply what we call the reinforced straight stitch. Only what I'm doing is I'm taking it from a 2.5 to a 3. So it will be a longer, some people call this the bean stitch. So we're just going to go forward and back. Now, some of the stitches actually have a speed limiter on them because they know what they can do. And this must be one of those because I've got it pressed clear to the floor, but it's not flying out of there. So and again, when we get back to the beginning, we will overlap that stitch and then I will knot off with the finishing button. And the tape's about to fall off. There we go. Some of you may want to use like a variegated thread on something like this. If you do, test any stitch that goes back on itself, like this one, for at least 6 inches to see what the stitch actually looks like. Because sometimes variegated thread will end up looking like a stripe, and you probably don't want that. So here we are, right back to where we started. So I'm touching my finishing button, which is a bullseye on mine. And then I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to move out here. And you've probably pretty much got the idea of what I'm doing. Boy, I stuck that down. I stuck it down really good, girls. I did. I'm going to have to get my screwdriver to get under my tape to even get it off. There we go. So I want to come clear out to here on that line. And that looks to be let's do the outside first. And all I'm doing is setting it here and getting it on the lines back here. And I may not even know exactly what that is, but I just know that it's lined up. So let's go back to that original stitch that I had. Actually, let's see if we got another one we want to do. You can go into your heirloom stitches. Well, I like that one, so I think I'll do that. Okay. I need to go out just a little bit further to get it exactly where I want it. Whoa, not that far. Okay, here we go. I'm lining that right in the center there. Almost looks like a little tatting stitch around there. And I will do the other, I will mirror image it on the other side here. So I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. I hope this has given you some ideas. I'll probably finish this up in the morning and then I'll post it so that you can see what it looks like. Let me stop here so you can see how pretty this stitch is looking on there. Can you see it? So it just almost looks like I'm tatting around that edge. And it's also securing that so that I really did not necessarily have to have the fusible like TempLee fuse or anything like that. It would have been fine. It's just totally up to you on what you want to do with that. So as I said, I'm going to do that stitch on the other side coming out the other way. I will actually be putting a few more stitches, and I think I might do that Merry Christmas like I suggested. I could probably write a whole verse of a song in there if I wanted to. Or maybe you want to put Happy Holidays so you could use it a little bit longer than Christmas time. And of course, this can be made in any fabrics. It doesn't have to be Christmas fabrics. So thanks for joining me tonight, everyone. I'll come down here and see if there's any more questions. All right. We will see you somewhere, well, probably in 2 weeks for another Odd Monday. And if I can talk Stacy into it, I got a couple other projects I could share at even a different time. So if I don't see you the next time, everyone, have a great holiday. Enjoy your family and don't sweat the small stuff. And I'm talking to me just as much as I am to you. Bye now.